motherfucker, you pissed off another vampire and then you took a goddamn nap.
I had to actually had a plot for it, and then he made it nonsense. But he was a bouncer at a bar, and he had the flaw shy. I'm like, whatever, I want to role play. He jumped from being a bouncer one night, a drug dealer the following, and when he encountered a wraith at one of the places, he was kicking in home doors. That's how he was going to get his drug supplies, by kicking in people's front doors and stealing in other medicine cabinets. I'm not joking, and I wish I was making that one up. He stumbled across a wraith, and then he became a ghost hunter.
Okay.
That game only lasted about 3 sessions, and that was about the time when I'm like, okay, I have to put him on the railroad, or he's never going to do anything plot relevant. It's just going to be the same nonsense that keeps repeating itself.
So with that, we are live. And it wouldn't be a game if we didn't have some technical difficulties. So when I was setting this up live, I got the category set up correctly for the stream. I got the little catchphrase for it all corrected. Got everything set up live, so we're streaming to Twitch and Facebook under the tagline of Ashland by Night, episode 11 or something like that. So I'll change it after the stream. I'm not going to worry about it. Forget it.
I do not have on enough makeup for Ashland by now.
So if you happen to see the rebroadcast on Twitch, I'm sure I'll get it corrected right after the stream. That shouldn't be much of a problem. We will, of course, be taking a brief break in a few, just because I have some laundry going, just the timing of it all with all the moving. I wanted to get some going. And so I'll have to go and check that. Otherwise, no big deal. So
We won't burn the place down while you're gone.
man, I hope not. Unlike you at Goodwill. Just like breaking stuff.
Hey, at least it was only worth $5.
Now.
Put a little wood glue, it'll be fine.
Just a little glue. Just fix it all right back up. Yeah, so at any rate, so I got a couch, can't complain. Got some nice throw blankets. Got the last of my stuff moved out of storage. So awesome. The move is finished finally.
Congratulations, my dude.
All right.
Yeah, feels very good. Thanks to Todd and Brittany. Yeah. But we had a good lunch at Rosie McCaffrey's, so can't complain.
Awesome.
So recap.
Seriously, next time you move, don't do it in July.
Hey, you know what? That was
right.
not planned. Believe me. That
in a heat wave year, no less.
Put that out there.
Yeah, trust me. The first one, the first move, definitely was not what I wanted and had planned. And this one was more along the lines of my pocketbook was saying, you should probably get rid of the storage unit at this point. So that kind of necessitated it. But yes, I promise I will definitely aim for cooler months.
Right.
You can hold me to it. Trust me, you can hold me to it. So, as a recap from last game, we had a holy smokes. They done picked up some tricks. As Mark was in the booth for most of it, operating the danger room controls, and our erstwhile comrades here actually had some fairly successful runs. Things are starting to shape up. They made it through level 1.
Right.
How many tries did it take us?
3, I think.
Yes, it was the third try last game.
But at least the uniforms let us hold out a little longer.
Yes, that was the other big epiphany. The group now has some uniforms. They're all fairly they are uniform in color and design. There is very little aberration from it. The only one that really seems to have a big change is Ixion, who has a sort of power pack and circuitry connection to the to his forearms that allows him to amplify his ambient cold energy projections and manipulations.
And I'm learning how to do plasma control, plasma emission based off of Pops' DNA and my heat emission abilities.
And I believe that was, I think that's all we pretty much did last game. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Did
Oh,
go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I know I wasn't there the last game. Was Mark able to come up with any other information regarding the technology on like the veins systems or anything in the trophy room?
So what were you looking for specifically?
He was
when
trying
you
to
say
use
technology?
So he was trying to use his hyper invention
Mhm.
power to learn as much as possible about like the computer systems and tech throughout the vein, as well as like trying to learn about the different technology in the trophy room, all those gadgets. That way, like in the future, if we need to make modifications or fix things, then Mark can do that.
Okay. The technology differs in the trophy room, so that's going to take more extensive study because some of it is, homegrown. Others, as you noted before, was alien in nature. The systems that you have been using, however, in the vein, they are a little dated, for lack of a better term, so they could probably use some upgrades, but for what they were still pretty high powered. So it's not like they're completely obsolete, by any means. But it looks like, based upon the last software and hardware update, it's probably 10-ish years behind.
Okay. Can I
Still
tell
very
if?
good.
Gotcha. Can I tell, or was it able to tell, if the Veins computer systems are similar to the systems that run me, or am I actually more advanced, or the other way around?
You are actually more advanced.
Got it. Okay, so they can definitely be upgraded.
But it does help in the sense that, what's the way to put this? When an architect works on something, they often leave their signs. You can tell by like how they weld, how they assemble, how they, for all the way from the mundane things of like how they fasten cords together to, what goes where and preferential parts and, types of modifications made. So understanding how you are designed will actually help you in upgrading the systems here. You're basically like a step or two ahead. So it's almost like if you took yourself a couple steps back and retraced your steps, if you wanted to, like a visually, like, oh, okay, if I do this, then I do this, then I do this, then we have a more effective system. It's just a matter of getting the technology, getting the correct parts, assembling them, and then for you actually going through and rewriting the software for whatever modifications it might be. Kind of like with like one of the big problems that they had with the jump from Windows XP up to Vista, you had limits on the amount of like RAM, for example, that it would support. It also had limits on the type of hard drives, the size of the hard drives it could see. It could, like, there was something like it couldn't go beyond 2 terabytes or a terabyte or something like that. And if it was larger than that, then it just didn't see the drive. So there's logistic things that you're going to have to work out in the software in order to update everything. But as far as the vein systems are concerned, you can tell it's still far and wide way better than anything than local police force, or even some possibly federal systems.
Okay.
You know, a genius really did go in and do this. So even though it's maybe 10 years behind, that's only due to wear and tear, not necessarily because technology caught up to it.
Okay. Got it. And where did the costumes come from? Do we know who made those?
No one asked.
They were brought to us by old girl
Meredith McCall. Is that right?
Meredith.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
I'm horrible with names.
Clearly.
Justin is horrible with names.
At least you didn't call her not the mama or something.
I was gonna call her the bewildered wife.
Old girl is a little better than that. We'll go with
You
old girl.
could kind of lie your way around that one and be like, it's actually a term of endearment. Old girl.
Well, I know plenty of. Well, maybe it's the environment I grew up, but there were plenty of women in my life as I grew up who liked being called someone's old lady. So
Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. Okay, so, but at any rate, so at this point, it's been a couple days since you've last met. Brittany, you have had some time to work on the job. You haven't gotten held up, but you have had to report some shoplifters. That's happened a couple times in the span since you've last met everybody else. Which you think is kind of a minor crime, but really, it's like, some guy holds the freezer open, one guy grabs, several cases and is able to hold them under his arm, and they barrel out the front door like beer run style.
I should have stopped that.
What's that?
I should have stopped it.
Well, we're assuming you didn't because you did not want to risk your super identity.
No, that's true. I'll have to figure this out. Maybe I can upgrade the security somehow.
Quietly.
It's like-
that could be possible. You do have a bit of a brain on your head. On your shoulders, I should say. So Mark, so let's see. So you actually have a company, correct?
I do, yeah. Quantum Consulting LLC.
Okay. So telecommuting isn't really a thing right now in the 90s.
Right.
It is possible, but it is usually done strictly by those conference calls and everybody gathers in a room sort of thing. This has kind of limited your effectiveness currently with managing things.
Right.
It would be wiser to move if the base of operations is going to be Strongford, it would be wiser to actually probably move the operations here and figure out a way to, ask the employees that you have to uproot their lives and live here.
Right, exactly. Okay.
So that is something you don't have to tackle it right now, but that is definitely something on the horizon you're probably going to have to deal with here soon.
Okay.
Outside of that, what are you doing with your day? You obviously still have typical business things to do, so you can't just focus on it all in the vein.
Right. And I guess we didn't clarify this for the background, but let's see. Is my head of operations then, because we're in Strongford, Colorado, then would I also be in Colorado, or did I have to go, did I come from a different state, or does it matter?
Given your company stature, you were probably located to your quantum. At this point, you were probably in California, in the budding Simi Valley area.
Makes sense. Okay.
Where a lot of the tech culture is right now actually springy. So that would probably been the most ideal location. You probably nabbed one or two techs that had, just maybe left Apple to try and do their own thing, looking to make the next big corporate, new culture sort of thing. So, but yeah, you're probably in Simi Valley.
Okay. Then my goal then is to actually have another conference call with like the executives that I have and explain that I think we should be expanding into new territories. And Strongford, I mean, it's the city of the future. Why not go there? So I'm going to run that information by and see if logistically and financially it's possible for the company to either move the headquarters there or create a new headquarters and then move it to Strongford so that we keep what's in Simi Valley.
Okay. So why don't you give me a reason check? And do you have any business related talents?
I have 0 talents.
Software upgrade.
Don't say that about yourself.
I'm a talentless robotic hack.
Son of a biscuit eater.
Okay, let me use the roll on the computer. Got a 32.
Okay, not the greatest. Let me get that pulled up here for you real fast. Rotate. Pivot. Okay, so what is your reason?
Reason is amazing 46.
Ooh, so you were just smart enough that you kind of beat your own meh roll. It takes you a little bit longer than you anticipated. Before you even presented the option to your crew, you wanted to have like a plan, at least a bare bone plans idea. You can pull it off. Why don't you give me a resources roll? So your resources is EX20, so just give me another 2d10.
$45.
Ooh, just barely. Okay. You scored a green result. Right now, as it stands, financially speaking, you could do, if everybody up and moved and you created and enough of them came over in the move, you could move from Simi Valley to Strongford. You don't have the financial support as of yet to make a new jump like that to create another venue or like a
secondary location or
whatever. Yeah, basically a secondary location. I was trying to think of the corporate name they use, but yeah, basically that.
Satellite?
Like a branch office or satellite office.
Satellite office, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Not impossible, but it would take some financial maneuvering.
Okay. Well. Yeah, I mean, better sooner rather than later. So I will go ahead and then with that propose that we do that because the goal is to be in a budding city and being around the other tech giants. Maybe we'll be kind of ahead of that curve in the marketplace and have a little more independence on our services.
Okay, so you're going to kind of sell them on Strongford that that Strongford is the new Simi Valley.
Right.
Kind of. So, and you're trying to get ahead of the curve by getting there and making the brand more known locally. Okay.
Yep. You got it.
That is not a bad idea, given the fact that your company is still sort of newer, especially compared to some of the other chip makers and tech giants that are in Simi Valley as of this point.
You could also make the argument that California has super strict laws when it comes to employment, and getting out of there quicker is better than sooner rather than later.
As of this point, they actually don't.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Remember,
I
this
only
is
entered
the mid 90s.
Yeah.
I entered the job force in the early 2000s, so
Yeah, no, right about now in the early to mid 90s, Simi Valley is really a hot spot. Everybody wants to be there if you're a tech guru, so you can do the Silicon Valley thing. Okay,
Cool.
so that's what you're doing. Your people are going to get back to number crunch and to figure out if this move does happen, like who they could potentially lose. So they're going to give you an overview, and they'll get back to you in a couple days after they've done that workup.
Okay. In the meantime, then just I'm assuming I'm still like in Strongford, or have I been like flying back and forth?
It's only been maybe a week. Actually, at this point, probably 2 weeks since everybody kind of met. You got the bombshell dropped on you and whatnot. So you've probably kept the hotel open in the hotel room that you've been staying, still open in your name, but flying back and forth for major meetings. Otherwise, no,
Okay.
You've been trying to handle. That's kind of how you came up with the idea of like, yeah, this isn't working doing it remote, because you tried handling as much as you could remotely.
Okay. Yeah, then with me still being in Strongford, I'm gonna see about then just headed. Do we individually have relatively easy access to the vein? Because it seemed like we had to like travel here through that special like helicopter, or do we have ways of like getting in individually?
You do. You would have been shown there is a I don't want to say a manhole, but there is basically like a back door outside of the hangar, which is where Meredith usually comes in from. So you guys would have
That's
been
where
told
she
about
comes
that.
from. Okay. Cool. Okay, then I use that to get in there, and I am then gonna see if I can actually work on uh, fully understanding like the veins computer systems, and then seeing if I'm able to upgrade that, or knowing how long that'll take me or what have you.
Okay, sure. So we'll make you do a roll for that, Justin. So at this point, what is Freddie been up to in the past couple of days since he's tried to play with his powers a little bit, and he had kind of a moral boost with the successful Danger Room run?
He is going to call his consulting firm,
Okay.
where he makes sometimes more money, sometimes less.
Mm-hmm.
Let him know that he's probably going to be on sabbatical for about a month or so.
Okay.
He doesn't know if he's moving into somewhere around Ohio, but he's considering it. He gives them a Colorado number, though.
Okay.
They kind of know the deal because he's been outed. So he might say he's in New York, but really he's off the coast of California.
Gotcha.
In the meantime, while he's getting everything arranged for like dates so he can go out and do his day-to-day job,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to continue in the Danger Room, even if he's not practicing with someone, focusing, trying to get that power completely defined out.
Okay.
Like instead of just like throwing bolts, he's trying to generate shields off of it, just by like
That would be a
pushing
separate
the
power
energy
stunt.
out. I know it's control, right?
Well, when I say it's a separate power stunt, it means you have to start all over. You have to spend the 100 karma and then try to do another power stunt off that.
Oh, then not that far yet. Then yeah, he's gonna keep being working on admitting it.
Sure.
He's kind of single-minded, focused in his thought pattern right now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So,
I wish I could say I was playing a more complicated character.
no, you're fine. You're fine. And okay, so basically, what you need to do at this point, if you've tried it successfully up to 3 times, you need to start. It allows you to start scoring yellow results, so it makes it a little bit easier.
I've only marked down 2 successes so far.
So once you get past your 3rd, you're no longer in the red result category. So you don't have to push quite so hard. You're gaining some mastery over it at that point.
Nice.
Okay, and
Yeah, other than that, that's all he works on is the practice over the week or however long we're taking for downtime.
Sure.
Making sure he has arrangements made for where he's going to be. So he can be reached if a crisis comes up or something that's like a 6-figure deal or something.
Sure. So Brittany, one of the things that you notice, because there is a TV at the Quickie Mart, and it's one of those that sits like right up front, so people walking in, and really only shows news. It's not like it shows sitcoms or anything of that nature. You know, it's only
Nudes.
what's that?
I thought you said nudes.
Yes, it shows nudes.
Sorry, go on.
Just
I'm
intermittent
glad I'm not the
random
only-
porn music, just like you're ringing just regular stuff up. You're like, oh, and here's your 64 ouncer, and oh no, it's top of the hour again.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's a TV. I mean, you find it hard not to just watch it sometimes when there's a lull in the the busy times for the store. And some of it basically it's just showing some news shows that are on repeat. So not that it shows a whole lot of news coverage, but what it does show, you do end up usually seeing it like 2 or 3 times during your shift, depending upon how busy you might have actually been, and when you stumble onto what's been playing. One of the tidbits you saw in the news, however, were the Justice Legion. They were accepting the keys to the city in New York from the mayor, and Monarch was actually on hand to accept those keys. And of course, the political commentators are big to raise the fact that he is the world's protector now that Electrum is gone, and no one knows where he's at, but they're positive that the world is in good hands, Monarch's hands, and the Justice Legion. And beside him is a caped crusader, very well built, very patriotic looking costume, mostly red, white, and gold looking colors. He is called the American Century. So he is actually there with him, as well as a looks like a. He's also well known, but you may not know who he is specifically. You can make a roll if you want to. He has blue skin with kind of mottled with some black spots here and there. He has kind of pointed elvish-like ears. His hair is sort of green bluish in color and pulled back in a ponytail. He's human looking, but he has gold and silver armor. Underneath, of course, exposes his his not human looking flesh. He has some what appear to be coral kind of coming off of his back, and the position of the coral looks almost honorific in a way, like someone might have epaulettes on their sides to round out like a uniform or something. So he has them kind of coming off, and after the media, they do their presentation and whatnot, he ends up doing like one of these numbers with his hand, and water starts to flow out of the pieces of coral, almost making it look like an aquatic cape. But the water is actually just falling all the way down. It's just splashing and whatnot.
What a mess. Yeah, what do I roll to find out if I know him?
You're going to give me an intuition check.
25.
And your intuition is what?
Incredible.
You got a
36.
25. He seems familiar. He's a part of the Justice Legion, but you're drawing a blank.
Okay.
Hopefully Trebek doesn't call on you for double jeopardy.
I don't think he will. Okay. Okay, so these guys apparently travel quite a bit.
Yes. They are the world's most well-known superhuman team.
That also means that they can't be everywhere.
That is true.
I'm willing to bet they focus mostly on the East Coast.
Unless they can. Okay. I mean, we can't do anything about that, but yeah, okay.
Okay. So with that, before we get into the game proper, I need to go check on something real quick. We're going to take just like a 10-minute break or so, and we'll be right back. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the mics up so you guys want to chatter or whatever. Makes me know, never mind. I'm just going to have some music and an intermission background going on.
Got it.
There we go.
Do.
All right, be right back.
I will also be right back.
I'm sad. I just found out that my favorite reason for watching GDQ in general is he's not going to be there anymore.
Thanks. Why is that?
I don't know. I haven't heard the reason why. Whenever Games Done Quick comes on, I always have it in the background running constantly. But he does the prizes, and he's done some really neat stuff. He's done, they had it set up for him to do an instant transmission, like out of a Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
But I donate to them once a year, and I normally donate earlier, but I figure why not? Let's go ahead and do it now.
Keeps it going. That's cool.
Yeah, they donate to Doctors Without Borders.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And I think the only thing they do is they like feed the staff, and everything after that goes to prizes and money sent directly to Doctors Without Borders during the summer event and during the winter event. That one changes up, but I don't remember what it was last time. But yeah, they have like different prizes. One of the prizes is a Switch in a whole bunch of games, so... But yeah, this year I think for prizes, because I just pulled it up and I closed it out again. Oh, not feedbacks. Let's see. They have this backwards. Let's see. Right now, like for $50, you get a Kingdom Hearts chain. Possible to win Kingdom Hearts chainmail, a Babam Battlefield foil painting. 25 is a Dark Souls bonfire cross stitch. A 3D painting of Donkey Kong's house. $5 is a Heartless Iron-on patch and a whole bunch of other things, like smaller things. $20 for a Bose stained glass Kingdom Hearts thing. $25 is a potential to win a Nintendo Switch in games. 250 or more total, and you have chances to win a computer and a replica of some other things. So,
What is it you're looking at?
oh, Games Done Quick.
Oh, my brother likes
Yes.
it. It's like 3 t-shirts.
I support their cause. I do not support necessarily the organization. They've got some jacked up and kind of messed up history with it. They banned people for really stupid and inane reasons, such as doing an Owen Wilson impression. Whoa, was apparently too much for him, or wow, whatever Owen Wilson says. And so I like that they support Doctors Without Borders. That's a good charity. So during the summer event, I always make sure to donate a little bit, and only it's within a price block I like. Like, I do not mind switch with a couple of games. So even though I have a Switch, I can always tell the Switch is good. If it's a custom Switch, all the better, but I doubt it's a custom.
All right, killed music, and we are back. Thank you for that delay. Got my laundry, ready to rock. All right. So.
Guess I'm doing the Buddy Christ.
All right. Each of you end up receiving a separate call advising you to return to the vein.
Okay.
You'll do it.
Okay.
Well, I'm already at the vein.
I'll call that taxi. Ask him to take me to the secret hideout. That is a joke.
Yeah, no, I figured. So we are quickly starting to establish that there's probably some parameters that poor Carmen is going to have to get taken care of in order to meet the demands of a private life and that of a superhero.
You know, if I could just learn to fly, it could be my own transportation.
It's very true.
Maybe I should try some experimenting with, I don't know. UV's not big.
Can you make illusions force you into the air?
I didn't even think about that. I can just do that. I can fly there.
As long as you're okay with people seeing a ball of fire flying directly to our hideout.
Yeah, probably not smart. I gotta figure it out.
But for the time being, we'll say that you did manage to, quote unquote, figure it out.
Okay, so we meet up at the vein.
Yeah. So you've had, I don't know, maybe 10 or so minutes to chit chat or to converse with idle conversation, because it's not like it happens like immediately when you get there. But after you've been there for a few, the lights dim. Not completely dark, but they dim and invariably draw attention to a screen that comes up on the one of the event monitors, and it's the Justice Legion, and it's a picture of some of their members, and of course the media is picking them up. It's talking about them on a ticker at the bottom, how they have intervened in potential ethnic cleansing in Africa, and are in the midst of working on a disarmament of the threat. It is a Muslim majority that are persecuting other Africans. The news believes, of course, it was partly because of the commercialization that's going on there, more of the haves and have-nots. Others are saying, it's just, it's your usual vitriol that you find on the media, that they're trying to find reasons to blame it, not just, well, somebody just got a little crazy and convinced some people that he was right, and then they just started being very, very evil. But whatever the reason, the Justice Legion has intervened. On site, they show, of course, Monarch in the process, like you show him pitching a modified truck that had, a heavy caliber machine gun on a stand on the back, and he's chucking it off to the side and wrecking it as it rolls through some of the plains. You end up seeing another Star-Spangled hero by the name of Battle Hymn Bell, a smaller woman, probably closer to 5'4", maybe 5'5", petite in stature, has a very kind of classic look to her. She's got the one piece on the eyes. She has a cape. She has thigh-high boots with some gloves and kind of the one-piece, almost bathing suit sort of superhero costume look, mostly blue and white. And you see her projecting some sort of sonic burst at several members, and they this whatever militia that was going on, and they're collapsing, holding their ears, in pain. You end up seeing another woman who has she has some technical gear on that looks like it may be communications related. At first glance, like you can almost see like an antenna kind of coming off of one of them, but she's like kind of knife handing it at people and projecting this very visible energy bursts of some kind, and you hear the media talking about how she is able to generate and manipulate radio wave radiation. Her name is Communique. And just so, I mean, they're kind of going to town on this militia, and they cut away, and then as they cut away and start doing the discussion again, you see the volume bars go down and it starts to get silent. And Meredith comes walking in, just clapping.
Welcome back, Ms. McCall.
Thank you, Mark. I'm sure by now that you have all seen the efforts of the Justice Legion.
It's a little hard to miss.
Have a bit of a head start on us.
That's what we're here to talk about. See, every one of those media hounding do-gooders, I'll keep it polite, they have one powerful thing going for them. And she pulls up the monitor, and the monitor, which this is still fairly uncommon for the mid-90s, but when she clicks on a remote, the monitor splits up into a couple of different screens all at once, and they're different channels basically. And for a moment, in the upper right-hand corner, you can see what cable channels that they might happen to be. And she says, and she points at the monitor. She says, "The media." Every one of those ill-informed twits live and breathe off of what the Justice Legion does. She clicks to another channel, and you see that there is, a reality TV show based upon people trying to become a part of the Justice Legion. She
Like
says,
superpowered people?
Yeah.
Oh.
And there are terrible costumes. Think of the X Factor or American Idol for superheroes. And they're just kind of going through, and there's like all these home done costumes, and some that are like really well done, and other, but they don't seem to have it. Others are like, they genuinely want to help, but their superpower are like fly wings.
It's like the 3 men tryouts.
A little better, but yes.
Yeah.
The people with the good costumes can't do anything, and the people with the bad costumes might have some power. That's what it's coming off as.
But if they do, it's like median. Like I said, it's the one guy's like, I want to fight crime sort of thing, and he's got fly wings. So yeah, he can fly. It's not super important. It doesn't make a big factor in a fight. Plus, they're fly wings. It's nothing majestic about it, like eagle's wings or anything. So I mean, she's turning to that, and she says, and to top it off, she clicks on a Toys R Us store ad that's popping up. She's like, these schlubs have action figures coming out. And do you see anything in relation to your situation to what you see on TV? Do you see that there's anything drastically different outside of the fact that they have media pull?
As far as the state of the world, it appears not, even though they did recently intervene with the racial cleansing.
She says, there's not a single recognition to Electrum. There are no statues in his honor. There's no fake holiday or month. There's no recognition website that has been published in any fashion. But these people, they have a video game. They have media backing. They have corporate sponsored tryout. Monarch, upon accepting the key to the city in New York, now has a bronze statue.
Character was Electrum that level of famous when he was here?
Oh yeah.
So all of that stuff is
Electrum.
just
I think Electrum had Captain America fame.
okay.
It doesn't seem like he
it started World War II-ish, and he and heroes that didn't really like screw up or didn't really like. Here's a good way to put it. Most heroes, if they were genuine heroes coming out of World War II, got a rub like Captain America did. It's like, you just fought the greatest evil this world has ever seen. Free drinks anywhere you go, sort of thing. Like, they knew who you were, what you were about. If you ran a traffic light, they're going to look away. You got a preferential treatment, sort of thing. Unless you were someone like the comedian from The Watchmen. But really, there weren't many people like that. Most people coming out of the whole World War II era, and everybody thankful that the Nazi menace was taken care of, and Imperial Japan had been stopped. Like, those guys were creme de la creme as far as heroes were concerned, and Electrum was the top of that. And Electrum didn't stop. Very much like when Captain America, got forced into the ice or whatnot. But, like many heroes that held up the banner of the Allies or the United States in particular, again, they were like the first rock stars really anybody knew of. And Electrum didn't stop. Electrum was going up until the late 80s when he disappeared.
So it's just a matter of people having forgotten / moved on.
I'll tell you what, give me an intuition check on that as you're trying to kind of go over it in your own head.
Mind if I go on this one as well?
Yeah, anybody can go on it if you want.
Yeah, 15.
15, no.
45.
I don't even have to look it up. 15 that's just too low.
I'm gonna change dice.
All right. What you got, Justin?
Let's see.
What's your intuition?
I've got 45 on a 26, so
Okay.
remarkable 26, so that gives me a green.
Yes. So we'll say Carmen.
Sorry, just
was
trying
kind
to
of-
understand mechanics a little bit more.
Yeah. No, that's fine. We'll say Carmen was kind of talking out loud, trying to work the social question out in her head out loud. And when she does, you pick up on it, Freddie. It's that
Looks a little better.
it wasn't that he wasn't beloved. It's that he was forgotten in such a quick fashion.
I also made a roll and actually got a 98. Is there any additional information, or is it just like same type of thing?
Same
Just
kind of
forgotten.
thing, but given your high analytics, again, you could probably use some software upgrades yourself. But based on the information that you've been given, that almost seems engineered. That's just too. I mean, it's not like you can't go into a store, right, and purchase a book that talks about World War II or talks about like the exploits of Electrum or whatnot. But the fact that it got up to a certain point and then just nosedived, and now all of a sudden, there are heroes to replace him. Within the span of like 2-3 years, there are a team of heroes that can do that. It seems fishy.
Okay. With that, I then state it does seem artificial. The speed, the short interval, the lack of recognition, and the sudden appearance of this seemingly perfect team with all of the support, as you're mentioning. What are your thoughts, Ms. McCall?
I think they had financial backing long before Electrum disappeared.
That's right. Miss McCall, this is your wheelhouse. What goes on behind the scenes that could have caused this?
Well, I happen to know that they have a pretty strong media team. That much is self-evident. I don't have all of the particular pieces of this pie that I would like to put together, but I do concur. It is it's very fishy. And the fact that they were able to pounce on this tells me that they were ready for some sort of slip up.
Do you believe that what they are interfering in and being heroic for itself is also engineered? These crimes?
I don't know.
I don't think the crimes are necessarily engineered, but the speed at which a team gets together is normally not so quick. Working together requires a lot of effort. Me and my 2 other triplets spent a lot of time underwater working with hand signals. That way, in case we lost our telepathy, our telekinetic link to each other, we could still communicate effectively. It took us 6 months alone just to get used to being able to create that type of communication back and forth, much less a team of superheroes with varying powers of varying levels just coming together within a couple of short years. That's unlikely. They were probably being groomed, and they probably have significant financial backing, like black box government spending type of backing.
Interesting theory.
And it's all theories as of this point. But there is one thing that they have made pointedly clear in their media blitz. if you two are going to compete with the likes of them, you're going to need a big win.
We're gonna need a what?
A big win.
Oh, a big win. Okay. Sorry, I didn't hear it. I thought you said a baby wit, and I'm like, what are we, like Spider-Man in the crib here?
Well, it is the 90s, so that that little dancing baby with the Oonga Chaka sound is currently going around on online. I can't stop.
Feel
No one ever said I was truly an adult, so
Yeah. But yeah, she says you're going to need a big win, and you're going to need to establish yourselves collectively, not only as an image, but you're going to have to take yourselves seriously if you want any of these others to take yourself seriously. Or if you want any of these others to take you seriously, including villains, as
I
bad as that
propose
might say.
I propose that we get the kinks worked out in our teamwork before we try to bring any outside attention.
That is
In an
one way of
attempt
doing
to
it.
avoid a failure.
That is definitely one way of doing it. My understanding is, Lightbringer, that you are you live around here already.
You know I do.
Mm-hmm. How much longer do you think Fairview can go?
Can go.
Well, I'm not going to obviously go into particulars of that, but I know you are aware of the rising crime rates, the rising use of drugs, and death from those the corruption within the police station, and the general outlook of your kind.
Are you suggesting we use it as a proving ground to put ourselves to the test and clean it up?
I think that that is a admirable task, and I think it would go a long ways to solidify who and what you are and what this team of everyone's is going to represent. You're also going to need to decide who's going to be a leader.
now that is a very good question. Not it. That was a
Really?
thing in the 90s, right? I remember doing that when I was a kid.
I will also add that most well-known superheroes or super teams have a city that they call home.
I
I'm not
myself,
opposed.
I myself have actually initiated the workings to allow the company I control to move its base of operations to Strongford. I plan on living here indefinitely. If no one else would like to take the mantle, I do have experience generating and leading a team within my company. I would be willing to be a team leader if my siblings would agree with me.
I'm also not opposed to the hometown girl doing it. It would buy us a lot of credibility within the communities.
I'm flattered, but I don't exactly command a lot of credibility here, being a recently outed deviant. I don't think that will win us any favors. However, if we are intending to clean up Fairview, I do have a suggestion. It's come to my attention that there is a community food drive. And I know that Sledgehammer will be making an appearance, and he suggested when we first met in costume that the community could do with a little more representation from the supers. So if we participate, that might buy us some credibility, at least within that part of town. I'm not sure how Strongford at large would feel about that, but it's a place to start.
That's a good idea, Carmen.
I concur.
That works.
There's also a matter of your code names that you're going to want to decide. The last thing you want to do when somebody asks you who you are is and not have something ready.
It is true. Carmen, how did you come up with your moniker of Lightbringer?
I am unusually intelligent, and thought the metaphorical and the literal aspect of light was an apt description of what I do. Also, between a little bit of telepathy and empathy abilities, and my ultraviolet, it just seemed like a nice play on words.
So it is based on your perception of yourself, and you gave yourself the name.
Yes.
And Freddie, I believe you had mentioned before that you had a superhero moniker. Did you go through a similar process?
I found words that sounded nice together. That's about it. I wish I could tell you it was a more well thought out idea, but some of the heroes have alliteration in their names. So the flying fisher came up, the scorching salmon, and several other things were popular for me.
Are you
But
happy with your current name?
I believe Merida here is not wanting me to use that name any longer. At least not under the team for now.
An idea for you, if you'd be willing. Your abilities and current, shall I say, organic state, because of your abilities of being underwater, living there, being able to communicate, and possession of a magical artifact, brings to mind the mythos of the lost city of Atlantis, where it was an advanced civilization lost to the seas. It's unclear if the people a part of that civilization lived and adapted or simply perished. But if any were to live and adapt to an underwater state, the technology could be confused for or could possibly be magical in nature, which would then make you an Atlantean. Perhaps that could be a moniker, the Atlantean. if you are trying to avoid scorching sturgeon.
Well, Meredith did give some options to everyone. She had come up with some ideas, and she had recommended the Mariner for Freddy. She had recommended Mecha or Hyperion for Mark, Xenofreeze for Ixion, and then Lightbringer just was the Lightbringer. That was good enough.
Let me go back. That's what I was looking for.
And Ms. McCall, when you provided the idea of Hyperion, what made you think of that name for me specifically, if I might ask?
It invokes a higher presence and higher technology. Much of what you can do, and I'm sure that will eventually, some parts of that will eventually come out in the media, represents that.
I believe I will bow to your experience. I will choose that name, Hyperion.
But the reason being that the what prompted this is because Freddy is known under his other identity, and it would be a risk to the rest of you to be associated with him if he continued to be a superhero under the name of the Syrian Sturgeon. In addition to the fact it is kind of laughable.
See. Interesting.
Oh, you are muted.
So while we think about names, should we consider patrolling or planning patrols of Fairview and agreeing on some protocols, perhaps?
We can. Did you have anything in mind to start?
Not particularly, although I'm sure we could come up with some hotspots. I just thought I know that Sledgehammer also patrols that part of town, and I don't believe you want us to be working with him particularly. And so we may want to work opposite his routes, I suppose. I don't know that much about the way that he works. I just know that I've seen him around every now and then, and I know that he's one of the few regulars.
Does he seem to be independent, or do you believe he works with a team?
He seems independent to me.
She says, I'll let the rest of you decide how you're going to go about this. You need some level of autonomy to do so. However, she pulls out a box that has 4 watches. They're all styled a little bit differently, patterned, in essence, off of the perceptions you might give in your particular place in the job market. So for Ixion and Lightbringer, it's a little bit more common looking watch. Nothing flashy about it. For Mark, it's a little higher end, looks more like, a Rolex looking thing. For Freddie, looks like an aquatic watch. Says these are communicators that you'll be able to use to communicate with one another. They have an effective range of 2 miles.
Excellent.
Excellent. Thank you.
At least from one another. So long as you are within range of the vein, you should not have any problems communicating back to here. So if it's a matter of needing to relay the signal, we can do that. But unfortunately, this tech was experimental and was not finished. So perhaps that might be something else you want to work on as time permits.
And I think the angler is more suitable for me instead of the mariner.
Very well, it's up to you. As long as you're not going around and linking the two, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue.
Eventually,
hey, Dante,
at
how's
some
it going?
Eventually, at some point, all of our identities will probably become made public. But I'm not worried about that at the moment. The anglerfish is one of the fish that resides in the Marianas Trench and at the bottom of the ocean where there's not a lot of light and a lot of pressure. And if you're looking to get a lot across about some of my powers and keeping it a little mysterious, that's a good name, I think.
Excellent.
Very well. And she says, and she leaves the box on the table for everybody to take the appropriate watch, and she just walks on out.
I put on my watch.
Yep.
Same.
In time, I will also see if I can upgrade or even perhaps replace these watches with something superior. Perhaps increasing the range and adding functionality.
Has Sprint and AT&T started their mobile wars yet in this universe?
Good question. I don't know when exactly that started. I'd have to look. Mobile phones are still, at this point in time, they're around, probably not because they're around, but most people, if you don't have Sterling credit, you have to pay like a $500 deductible just to get a phone.
Okay, so we haven't hit Nokia age.
No.
Okay.
Are we still in the like brick phone?
Mm-hmm.
But like past the car phone era?
Yeah, no, you can still get a car phone, but they're not like big and clunky or whatnot. They're more like handheld, but not cordless.
Excellent. In the meantime, as far as patrolling Fairview, also with Sledgehammer being in the area, even though he doesn't seem to have a large media following like the Justice Legion, nor does he work with another team, we probably should still foster good relations with any individual superheroes, and to step on his toes, so to speak, in whatever his patrolling superhero territory is, might be disfavorable to him. If we are going to patrol, we should coordinate that with him.
Makes sense. Should we facilitate a meeting?
Do you have a means of communicating with them readily? You seem to have at least a basic relationship with them.
He's gonna sit down at the computer and he's gonna see if Electrum had his information on the computer.
Okay. Why don't you just give me a reason check? Do you have computers as a talent?
No,
I don't think
61.
So, okay. And what is your
on a
reason?
remarkable 61.
Oh, nice. Okay. So yes, actually, there is a small file on Sledgehammer.
Is his telephone number listed?
No.
Or an agent?
No, no agent either.
He didn't give me his contact info, did he?
No.
I didn't think so, but
he did tell you specifically that the people at the place to put on the I'm wanting to say food house. That's not the right not the right term. The
shelter.
Well, it's not really a shelter, but the
kitchen.
Food bank. There we go. The people who put on the food bank, he did tell you specifically that if you send word to them, they usually know how to get a hold of them somehow.
okay. I'll relay to the group that I don't have his contact information, but I know a way to get a message to him.
Excellent.
Is the soup kitchen mentioned on the dossier?
Huh? Yeah, he had. It's pretty small. There's not a whole lot here. As of the writing of this particular crime file, I guess if you could call it, Sledgehammer was still fairly new, but it does note that he seems to work primarily outside the law due to the corrupt nature of the local police department, and does a lot in a very selfless manner for the citizens of this particular part of town.
He will update the file if he can to notate point of contact, this particular soup kitchen.
Okay.
And once we get someone who we can actually reach out to directly, he'll update the file again.
Sure.
Like, ask for Sarah, mention construction work. If we're going to have Agamemnon files, we might as well have them updated.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. It does have a sampling of the believed superhuman powers. It's believed that he has super strength and endurance. He does have some skill, mechanically speaking, because his sledgehammer seems to be resilient to his own strength. So it doesn't just break and shatter every time he uses it. And he does apparently have the ability to manifest some sort of light generation from his eyes, some laser beams of some kind.
Does it say that he can leap a tall building in a single
That's
bound?
a part of the superhuman strength, yeah. So
Oh.
He leaps at great distances and whatnot.
Do we want to set up that meeting right now?
Yeah, let's get it set up as soon as possible. There's two ways for us to get better working together. One is in the field, one is going back to our training room and getting shot over and over again. Our financier is seeming to want to get us a little bit more public attention, so field work it is.
Well, as long as, as I said, in this case, I believe that bad publicity is not a good thing. So,
And I happen to agree with that.
if we can't succeed at this yet, then I think we need to work that out first.
I also believe that it would be harsh to gauge our recent experience in an overall fashion, meaning we recently went against two super villains simultaneously. However, in Fairview, it is unlikely that we would be facing a myriad number of extremely powerful, mega strong, and mega tough supervillains. Therefore, I believe our chances of success will be higher as long as we know what we're doing at a basic level, actually mastering our abilities, skills, and teamwork.
That may be so, but when I first met Sledgehammer, it was facing off with two superpowered individuals, one of whom was apparently a former ally who had switched sides. And Sledgehammer had it mostly under control, but it was not an easy fight for him. So
Was this in Fairview?
yes. So we may encounter adversaries along those lines as well. There's, of course, plenty of regular crime, but there is also plenty of superpowered crime.
Understood.
Can we pull up some stats and, like, I don't know, maps with overlays on the computer?
Certainly.
Since he's already sitting there,
I will make
30
them
35 off of Remarkable, so no. I would say, since it's still in that gray zone.
So he's able to pull up a map. That isn't hard, but there's nothing that he can find that gives like an overlay that lets you pull up stats or whatnot. But I mean, you at least have the map of Fairview, the suburb of Strongford.
Mark, could you possibly do better with the computer than me?
I will try. I woke up, do my thing.
Okay.
Probably subsequently fail miserably, but here we go. Oh. I take it all back. I'm totally wrong. 100.
Nice. So you look at it for a second and you're like, oh, this is just based off of in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, this is just based off of like an earlier software that I had. I know exactly like what commands will pull this up. So you just pull out a port from your wrist and connect it directly to an available port on the computer, and he doesn't even type. He just you start seeing it like flash a little bit, and it starts pulling up some different screens and some overlays and some available windows to populate like any additional information you might need. So it just depends upon what you're trying to pull up at this point.
I was going to try and ask for basically like a crime statistics overlay for the neighborhood.
Okay. So you start compiling. The computer you've got a status bar at the bottom that kind of runs. It takes about 15 minutes to compile. Again, it hasn't run statistical reports like this in a while, so that's probably why. And it's pulling information electronically from available news outlets that monitor this sort of thing and reports that come in from the police. And so you're looking at on any given day, Fairview has to deal with anywhere between 3 to 5 robberies a day, 1 to 4 armed robberies. There's a high statistic for homicide. There's also a high statistic for gang violence. I mean, it's in a bad shape. Like this, the numbers here in the 90s mirror Detroit nowadays.
Does it differentiate mundane versus superpowered crime?
It does, yes. And given the higher than norm of population here, deviant crime comparatively is 3 times higher than any other part of the city, and respectively 1.5 times higher than the national average in this particular area of town.
Sorry, did you say three times higher than a regular city?
3 times higher than any other part of the city.
Oh.
And 1.5 higher than the national average.
Right.
So it's bad. And that's a big overview. So that's not only deviants clashing with police or citizens, that's deviant on deviant crime, or when they occasionally listed as hero versus villain, or basically superpowered being conflict. There's a category specifically for that. That's usually where the hero and villain fights happen, but in most cases it's organized under deviant crimes, because there is also a higher deviant population in Fairview than the national average.
Does it,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
as far as hero versus villain, does it consider any deviants as heroes?
If they're a deviant, it looks like the way the information works is if they're listed as a deviant, then they're listed as a deviant. It doesn't go into sort of any alignment sort of thing. Otherwise, it falls under SPB category, superpowered being. And there's not many.
I'm sure.
Wait,
I'm
so
sure if anything's listed as hero versus villain, it would be a media spin rather than a crime statistic.
Yeah.
So deviants are listed separately than superpowered
Oh, yes.
beings?
Mhm.
Okay. Just to get the vocabulary straight.
Just to get the racism straight.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really what's going on. The as far as the statistics go as well, is this does it also show like per capita earnings and stuff? Like, is this like a slum area?
Oh, this is absolutely a slum area.
Got it.
The quick nitty gritty is Fairview used to be basically the downtown. It was the golden spot of Strongford back in the day. As technology advanced and more outside jobs came into the city, obviously they started building out and further and gentrifying any of the outer rim locations to attract the new clientele, to the point that downtown Strongford is this gleaming gem of all of Colorado. Like, it, in many ways, it even puts Denver to shame. With nice skyscrapers and sprawling cityscape, clean and just vibrant with nightlife and whatnot. And then you come to Fairview, and it's like the utilities are iffy. Most people that are here don't pay rent; they're squatting. So they have illegal. In essence, they have most people here are illegal loft housing. So they're just squatting, in a building wherever they can find it.
Those.
They do have a police presence, but it's one of those open secrets that the police are less than effective in many cases, probably deliberately.
Hell's Kitchen comes to mind because I've been watching Daredevil.
There you go.
Hell's Kitchen would probably be a good visual. Run it down a little bit more though, and think 80s and 90s Marvel Comics with mutants.
While they're looking this up, he's changing into his outfit.
Okay.
Into his suit.
Sure.
So this is, I guess, what we're up against. You can see that we have our work cut out for us.
Can I do intuition or reason and find a spot that's on the heat map that is more thuggish crime? Maybe not armed robbery, but like maybe 7-Eleven or something like that gets hit up a lot.
Sure. So why don't you, with the information that's at hand, why don't you go ahead and give another reason check?
100.
What's that?
Nice.
100.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, now that the
I can't
information...
get this roll trying to force plasma out my hands. But oh my, that 7-Eleven hit, it gets hit up every night.
So there is one thing that you notice here. Most business, there aren't much in the way of businesses here, just because it's that bad off. I mean, it's maybe a step or two away from a demilitarized zone.
They all closed.
Yeah, many of them closed just because they can't keep up with it. But there are a few in the area that have held out. There are, some basic supplies, like people who try to keep like laundromats open and whatnot. There is one in particular that keeps getting hit up. It is a nonprofit clinic that has been held, based upon the records that you guys have, has been held up 3 times in the past month.
He points it out to him. And like the cops do on the television shows, it's time to begin a stakeout.
Do you want to make contact with Sledgehammer before we get to work?
Oh, I thought we already did. Like, he seems completely confused by that.
I mean, literally go meet with him.
Well, let's. I thought we had already reached out to the soup kitchen.
Oh, okay. So let's say I placed a call to the soup kitchen and asked them to deliver a message to him that we would like to meet. And I'll say it in a more coded manner, but basically the amusement park where I met with him the first time.
Okay.
In an hour.
Okay. The person who takes it's like, okay. Can I ask who's calling?
I will say, gosh, something that would tip him off, but without actually giving my name. So
Lucifer then?
I don't think I want that association. Thanks.
Nothing wrong with being a rebel, is there?
Yeah, I'll just give my name. I'll just say it's Lightbringer.
Okay. And so he's like, sounds like he's kind of jotting something down, like he's taking an order, over the phone. Okay. So as soon as we hear from him, we'll let you. Well, we'll pass the word.
Thank you.
Excellent. We
Okay.
may be able to get some tips from him as well as far as how he goes about on his patrols and use that to our advantage.
I would also like to discuss, as I said, protocol, because when I met with him previously, he did take the miscreants to the police, but it wasn't the police in Fairview, right? It was the so I think we ought to discuss.
But since you were actually with him because you were identifying the basically the assailants and whatnot, you provided a statement. You would know that he actually took them to Chatham, which is the commercial center downtown.
As long as it's in the same county, I believe we can take them to any police station within the county. I don't think we can do it outside the county lines, though, if I'm correct. I'm not a criminal lawyer. No criminal law person, so.
Great.
I mean, we could tie him up and hang him upside down and just leave him hanging from a lamppost and keep doing that to him, and eventually either they'll stop or their colleagues will take care of them.
That's true, but I just think I suppose as we want to garner the best possible publicity out of any of the patrols that we do, we probably ought to calculate what we want to do as far as apprehension.
Especially considering it seems that the police forces in the area seem to be lackluster at best.
Yes.
Once
So
we
is
get
everybody getting on your uniform then to head out? And how are you guys getting there?
How are we getting there? We need some transportation. Do we... How did... Oh, Electrum could fly, huh?
Yeah.
That's how he got around. Can't really do that.
Like the Beach Boys.
Do we have any kind of, I don't know, motorbikes or something?
You have the craft.
I mean, that's a little... Is it really just, like, at our disposal?
That's what the pilot's there for.
I mean, it makes us look like big times, I guess. So, do we want to do that?
It might be a little ostentatious, but we've already been seen inside that vehicle. When we arrived and we were helping out Sledgehammer at the highway, it would not be out of our character to show up and have such a vehicle with us.
Jerome, that vehicle, does it look like just a very typical like military flight transport with like VTOL capability, or does it look like this custom machine?
Yeah, it's more custom.
Okay.
Yeah, basically put a Quinjet up against an F-15.
Ah, okay.
It's going to stand out.
Got it. Okay.
But I mean,
And
the
with
principles are all the same. Like it does have, the VTOL,
okay.
takeoff and landing sort of thing. All of that, wingspan and everything. It does not look like your normal craft.
Right. Does it look like, according to the map we have on the screen, that there'd be a spot where they could drop us off, like within the city, or would
Oh
that
yeah.
be like?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The amusement park is abandoned. So there's a couple rides that are left there that are rotting and whatnot. But I mean, it's fairground, so it wouldn't be hard to fly in low in an open spot and just let you guys hop out.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Using that craft would be advantageous.
All right. Suppose we can get used to it.
So Dale, you weren't here for this. You have a uniform. The uniform itself is mostly kind of dark gray with goldish blue kind of lining that goes around the side. It actually provides a measure of protection. So it provides good protection against physical, energy, heat, and cold damage. However, you also have a protective power. And that is what exactly?
That is, I do have body armor and reflection.
Right. So body armor is what we're concerned with here. So body armor, in essence, gives you the same protection against like physical, energy, heat, cold. And at an EX20, here's where it gets kind of interesting with the rule set. So because it's one rank away on either side of the armor, it combines with the armor that you're wearing. So instead of an EX20 for your defense, you now have an RM30 when wearing the costume.
Gotcha. Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I go ahead and suit up then.
Okay. So the three of you gather together. The pilot has done his last minute checks to take off with the craft. And within, a minute, you guys are off into the air again.
And when we're in the air, I drop my human-looking visage so that it's just, my actual androidy self.
Okay. Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Keep your secret identity.
Exactly.
But the trajectory they have coming in over the town, yeah. This looks like, back in the day, the war zone was Beirut. I mean, it looks like that. Not that you see like active gunfire going around constantly, but I mean, just wrecked buildings like kind of supporting one another because one's leaning into it or whatnot. I'm just many condemned locations, wrecked cars just left out on the streets in disrepair. Although it's daytime, you can tell that many of the light posts and whatnot, they just don't function correctly, due to the damage to the the light itself. But yeah, Fairview is in bad shape. And he brings you in low over the grounds, which actually sends some homeless people running because they see a craft coming in low and it's kicking up dirt and trash and whatnot. And you guys actually come in around the old roller coaster that used to be called the Screaming Mimi. And you know this because there's like a sign that's kind of tipped over at one point, mostly rusted, that says Screaming Mimi outside of the dilapidated roller coaster. So, and as you drop off, and he drops the three of you off, and he takes back off into the sky to get out of the area. You end up hearing this loud thud, and there's like a bit of a crunch mark into the dirt and the remaining of pavement as sledgehammer touched down.
Is it a superhero landing?
Yes.
Knee and all?
Yep.
Nice.
Horrible on your knees.
Did you guys see Black Widow yet?
I haven't seen that yet.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
All right.
Did they make a similar joke?
They comment about it.
Probably, and if anything, it probably came from Red Guardian. If I'm guessing, because that seems to be the angle they're going with the character. But anyways, but yeah, so he touches down and he like looks to the three of you, and of course you're the only female there, Brittany, and he's like, Lightbringer?
Yeah, this is the new look.
Uniform? I'm taking it you're a part of a team now?
Yes, so we are starting out. We thought we would work on our coordination as a team and help out with Fairview. There's certainly enough to go around, but we wanted to meet with you about protocols and staying out of each other's way. I know you've put a lot of work into this place, but we appreciate what you do, and we don't want to get in the way.
Okay. I don't know about protocols and whatnot. I mean, outside of me, you're really the first anyone's of any kind that I've seen that's taken any interest to this location. So I don't know. Maybe that's something we can discuss. I don't know if this is really the place to do that. But sure. I mean, I'm not going to turn down help. I mean, I certainly wouldn't hope that anybody here who needed it would turn away the help. I mean, things are pretty bad. I don't know if you know what it's like on the ground right now, but it's pretty terrible.
We noticed that this free clinic, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
This free clinic is getting robbed 3, 4, 5 times a month. We're going to begin starting there.
Well, you're welcome to. That is Blackout's handiwork directly. That much I do know.
Who is this Blackout?
Okay, so I don't know how new all of you are, or even why you took a liking to Fairview, but if I make you feel dumb with any of this information, it's not intentional.
I normally stick to coastal places. So,
Some of
being...
the area.
Yeah, we are far away from the coast. So, again, don't know why you guys took a liking to this, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. But Blackout, no one really knows who his real name is, but he came in maybe 15 or so years. It's kind of hard to say. It's not like he just announced it, but he showed up on the scene. And even though things were bad at Fairview, they ended up getting worse. Hold on a second. Fairside. I keep calling it Fairview. It's Fairside. So even though things in Fairview were bad, they got worse. He has militarized many of the deviants in the area who they're here because they have nowhere else to go. So they're willing to turn on one another and take his handouts for a better life. He's flooding the streets with some sort of new chemical, some sort of drug that he's pushing out. I haven't gotten a chance to get any hard facts on it, but apparently, what I do know, like with many drugs, it's very addictive. It does cause fatalities. Again, I don't know the full scope of it. People do die from drug overdose, but what it does end up doing is it amplifies the user's strength and endurance. So far, it doesn't seem to be to superhuman levels, but even normal people get. It's almost like a superroid, I guess, if you could call it that. They seem to. Some people who have used it for longer seem to have skin discoloration, almost their skin turning black in certain spots. They also some have seemed to have light sensitivity. And while he's pumping this crap out and testing out its effectiveness here at Fairside, he's making money wherever he's making money, I guess, and using the people here as test subjects, or maybe just getting money directly from them. But Fairside PD is on the take. It's an open secret. And
have you ever tried luring him out? Or is he
hey, Davy Jones?
Or is he one of those actually powerful?
He's a behind the scenes guy. Nothing I've done has been able to bring him out. In fact, the first time I met Lightbringer, he was upping his game and enlisting another deviant by the name of Turf to his I don't want to say cause, but to his
Operation.
to his operation.
What are his abilities? Do you know?
No clue.
Do you know
I haven't seen him specifically. Blackout could just be a nickname. It could be off of his drug. I mean, I know he's deviant. I just don't know what all he's able to do.
What was the name of the person who recruited Turf?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that gonna be like
is he still in jail?
A plot of land?
I'm sorry, what was that? Out of character, I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, TURF.
Okay.
Is he still in jail?
I hope so.
I remember out of character, I remember one of them I injured and the other one was veiled. Which one was which?
Turf was not the one that you hurt.
Okay. Let's see who that was.
So he's clearly upping his game. He's hiring stronger guns to his cause, and it's getting out of hand.
Coil was the one I injured. Okay.
Is the name of the drug also Blackout?
Second. Yes. Sorry, I had to look at my notes.
Do you know how we can...
Oh, no, sorry, it's called Dark.
Dark?
Yeah.
Do you know how we can get some of this substance?
I don't know why you would on it specifically, but I mean, if you were able to bust up a drug sale, I mean, I'm sure you could find some there. Just they come ready, and packing. So just be forewarned if you're going to try and jump them, expect a fight. They're not going to just hand that over to any schlub that happens to hold a knife and a pistol.
I was thinking more along the lines of staging some kind of a sale ourselves.
Well, if you're wanting to do that, I don't advise discussing it openly here in the fairgrounds.
All
Where would
right.
be a better place to discuss these topics? Do you know of an area?
Uh, um, Not offhand. I'm usually spending most of my time running around here. I would imagine any place other than here.
You mean other than Fairview?
Right,
Fair.
right. So maybe some nondescript place in uh, Riverview, perhaps. It's a trendy neighborhood.
Can you tell us about your patrol habits? Do you have specific routes? Do you
Oh no,
are
no,
there
I can't do that. I have to mix it up every time. I have to
are
go
there
places that I didn't go before, and I have to keep it mixed up every time. I can't really go the same places every time, with the exception of occasional stops like the Quickie Mart. They seem to like me enough there, so I get drinks or whatnot. But otherwise, I mean, I'll never find anything if I do it that way. They have people that wander around this town on lookout looking for me specifically.
do you have specific hours that you try to cover?
I alternate that as well.
Okay.
That's the only way I've found that it works at this point, and even then, I'm only making a little dent.
Of course, that makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to verify so
Right.
that we can cover ground that's not necessarily the same ground.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I just that's really the only advice I could give. It's that you're gonna have to keep it random. Don't go to the same places every time. Because he's got his lookouts all around town. I mean, everybody is willing for a quick buck, and to do whatever with for the next fix, to protect their family, feed their family. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's one of the hardest things to deal with here. It's not even just the police; it's the fact that he's so good at subverting what would probably be good people. They've got nothing outside of here. I mean, I'm actually, yeah. You
You've got to
said
put food on the table. You do what you've got to do.
you actually, I think you did tell him you were a deviant, didn't you, Lightbringer? I think you guys, yeah. I seem to recall you guys had the conversation. He's like, I mean, you've seen what it's like outside of Fairside. They don't give a damn about this place, and so anybody that crosses over there, I mean, they're lucky if they get to Stake Eye. So they're I mean, anybody who winds up here, it's if they don't want it to be a death sentence, you got to kind of go where the money's going.
Do you believe that blackout is one of the main sources of the corruption that's happening currently at Fairside?
I absolutely know it. I can't prove it, but I know it.
I look to my team and go that his apprehension should be one of our primary goals in this town.
Certainly.
Good luck with that. That guy has never shown his face anywhere.
Clearly going to be the long scheme.
But he does have a downtown building he operates out of. He's bold enough to do that. It seems to be the base of his operations. I don't just go kicking down the door because, again, I don't know what I'm going into. I also don't want him just to burn half the neighborhood because he felt like it. I mean, these people don't have anywhere else to go.
What building is this?
He you can't really see it from here, but he points like in the general direction. He says, used to be an old condominium. So I think it's like 10 stories, roughly. Apartment complex or condominium or something. He runs the whole thing. I'm almost positive parts of his operation come out of there as well. The drugs and whatnot. The police
So
don't
he's
even go
following
anywhere
Nino
near that
Brown?
block.
What was that, Fred?
What was that?
So he's pulling a Nito Brown. Wait, has New Jack City come out yet?
At this point, I believe so.
Yeah, so he'll maintain that reference. 91.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it had been out at that point. Yeah, so he says, I am basically, people aren't going in to touch him. And he's, I guess, not important enough to the big bad Justice Legion to do anything about it.
Sledgehammer, when you apprehend criminals, what do you do with them? Where do you take them?
I try to take him to different districts, like when I was with Lightbringer, which I'm sorry, I didn't even know that you were in a team. But we took them to Chatham PD.
Do you find that to be effective, or do they seem to be released rapidly?
Far better than taking them to Fairside PD. I mean,
Understood.
I can at least expect them to be booked, especially if I've got eyewitness accounts or something to go with the charge to help make it stick. Now, if it does stick, again, some of these guys have got great lawyers, so they're able to finagle the system. Some are just they get locked up and then broken out. I mean, it's a game. But it seems to help. I mean, I'd rather have them off the street for a week than back on the street right after I apprehended him.
Out of character, do we know that none of the Justice Legion are deviants? Is that like a known thing?
Oh, so let me take a look. That is a very good question. Take a look at my notes.
And on a related note, do we know if there are any well-regarded like public heroes that are deviant?
No. Unfortunately, there are none.
That was my suspicion,
Yeah.
but I wanted.
And none of the Justice Legion are known deviants.
Okay, so
They're
either
magic,
they are,
technology, they're scientific accident, something like that, but none of them are born of the deviant strain.
I wonder if that's accurate or if it's just a media.
I'm guessing I'm not considered a deviant. I'm considered to be a medical experiment, huh?
Are you asking in or out of character?
Out of character.
You would be considered a deviant.
Okay.
You were medically experimented on, but you are definitely a deviant. You are Electrum's child.
But as far as the public is concerned, they know that I was medically experimented on by the Navy.
Yeah, you are kind of in a gray area. No one's directly come out and said that you're a deviant. Just that you were a part of some sort of military experiment. So people can
But
be a little apprehensive of you, but it's more along the lines of like, oh, he's one of those spooks sort of thing, you know, like he worked with
Do
the
you
man.
support our military or not?
but the people that ran the experiment would know
They
that he
would.
was,
Yep.
so that could get out at any time. Okay.
I was just asking more for clarification.
Sure.
Excellent. So what we learned so far is that we would not be stepping on your toes. You are accepting of any help you can get in this area of town. Blackout seems to be the primary instigator of the degradation of this town, what with his control of the populace through his drug, Dark. The local police are on the take, so much that you're not willing to deposit any apprehended criminals there, but rather to Chatham PD. And Blackout works from a nearby condo complex, you believe.
Yeah.
Excellent. Have you fought any supervillains in this area recently?
In town?
Correct.
Like in Fairside? I clashed with Turf and Coil when I met Lightbringer. I just had another run-in with Coil, but not directly. He was more running interference, so his so the additional cronies could get out of the way. But then there's also notes back up here. Oh shit, what was his name?
How is
There we
his
go.
shoulder?
There's also Brute. He's his right-hand man and his muscle. So I've already dealt with him. Not overly bright, but he hits like a tank.
Before, when we assisted you, you seem to have a power nullification collar on hand.
Oh
Did
yeah.
you develop that, or did you obtain that from somewhere?
Oh no. I have a few connections, none of which are here in town. I did some side work for Aegis Foundation a while back when I first started off, and that kind of gave me, although I didn't buy it directly through them, I bought it through one of the vendors that they use. So it was a personal purchase. I only have a couple on hand because they're expensive and they're in many ways very contraband-ish, because obviously deviants and SPBs fear it because it can take away their abilities. It also leaves other people helpless. It's been
Because there's such a high possibility for abuse.
correct. Yeah. So Hoplite tends to keep a very close eye on anybody who has inhibitor collars.
It's raining really hard outside. This makes me
Yeah, that's
so
what
happy.
Davy Jones was saying. I don't know about here. I'd have to go take a look.
Yesterday,
It's been raining in the San Antonio area a lot in the last week.
Nice.
The city needs the water, but the San Antonians don't know how to drive in anything but dry weather. And even that, if you ask most of the city, no one in the city knows how to drive. But
like they say that everywhere we go.
Yeah,
agree.
exactly.
Did
Oh,
you have
man.
any other questions for me about Like, I
Um,
guess anything at this point.
I thought we might as well introduce ourselves. You know me. Um, these are my comrades, the Angler and Hyperion. And we
Alright.
have who couldn't make it tonight, but we'll introduce you to him later.
Fair enough. I tend to be very low tech, so the only way you can really get a hold of me is through that soup kitchen.
I'm glad that it worked.
It's not the fastest method, but they know how to get it to me securely.
Okay. Well, thank you for meeting with us.
Again, I don't know why you've taken Bearside, under your wing, but good luck.
You as well.
So he's kind of tips his fingers in a kind of a salute and leaps, takes a kind of a squat, and keeps himself up in the air. Giant leap. Whoosh.
While he's doing that, he's going to call for the pilot to come back.
Okay. And so we will call it right there for the night. So we're right at about 2.5 hours. So got some gaming in. So then the next game is going to be on this calendar would be July 24th. Are we good?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Double check my calendar. Yeah, I should be fine.
Unless I
looks
get a
good.
job that suddenly changes my work days. So,
Yeah.
Ooh,
but if that's something that's going to happen, I'll be having that conversation long before it gets to the 24th.
Right. No, I get it. All right, well, cool. Thank you guys for playing. Hang out until after I end the stream. We've got a couple of things real fast. Those of you who are watching, of course, check out the Twitch replay. We'll have that eventually uploaded to YouTube with the correct name as well. And we will be playing again on the 24th of July. The 23rd will be our vampire game again. So tune in. Lots of stuff happening there as well. Lots of good stuff. The Anarchs are unfortunately getting politicky, but it was necessary. They had to do something. So thank you again, guys, for watching and tuning in and chatting with us. And you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Good night, guys.